Hi, and welcome to the Liberate and Love Yourself podcast, where we empower, motivate, uplift, and inspire you to live your life to its highest and fullest potential. I'm your host, Stephanie Renee, a certified life coach here to help you navigate your life to a beautiful and intentional path. I can't wait for you to join me on today's episode. I'll see you soon. Hi, and welcome in on today. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so grateful that you decided to tune into this episode. I hope that you're able to get something out of this episode. And also remember to share this with a friend that may need to hear this episode on today. All right, let's get into it. So I want to talk to you today about mistakes. I recently received a question and the person said, I've made so many mistakes and my past haunts me. How do I free myself from the shame of my past and all of my mistakes? Woo! This one hits, right? Because we know we've all made mistakes. We have all done things that we wish we could take back. We wish we could have done them a different way. We wish we could have started over. We've all made mistakes. And for some of us, those mistakes have haunted us for the entirety of our lives. You know, sometimes there's small mistakes, right? You're taking a test and you make an error and you calculate something wrong and you missed a question on the test. Okay, small mistake, right? Your score might go from 100 to a 90. That's a small mistake. It happens. You forget to call a friend. You got tied up or you got busy. That's a small mistake. But when you have the really big mistakes in life where you hurt someone, where your decision caused repercussions, where the choices that you've made have led you to the place in your life where you are now. And maybe you hate yourself for the mistakes that you've made. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you're ashamed. Maybe you're fearful that someone's going to find out about what you did and how you did it, and it haunts you. It's the thing that keeps you up at night. It's the thing that when you wake up in the morning, that mistake is on your mind and it just replays over and over and over. I'm talking about those mistakes. First, I want to let you know, we always think we're so alone in everything that we've experienced in life. No matter how terrible or bad we perceive that event to be, we always think we're alone, like nobody else has ever went through what you've gone through. And it doesn't discredit what you've gone through. I'm making this point to let you know that a lot of people have experienced what you have experienced. I think the toughest thing to do is, number one, acknowledge your mistake. It's so hard to say, I messed up. Man, I made a terrible decision. Oh, I don't know why I didn't take that job. God, I made a mistake. I don't know why I did this to my partner. I know I love my partner, but I made a mistake. I don't know why I chose to do this to myself. I don't know why I chose to go this route. You made a mistake. The toughest thing to do is to own that mistake. Just acknowledge it. Say it out loud to yourself. You know what? It happened and I made a mistake. And right after you acknowledge that you've made a mistake, number two, and this is the toughest one for so many people, including myself, you have to show yourself compassion and you have to forgive yourself. Let's spend some time on this one. Sometimes acknowledging comes natural to people when you've made a mistake or you've hurt someone. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm remorseful or regretful for my actions. That may come easy for some people. But then showing yourself compassion and forgiving yourself for making a mistake, for hurting that person, for not loving yourself enough to make better choices for yourself. We've all been there. I've made so many mistakes. There's not enough stars in the sky at night for the amount of mistakes I've made. And some of my mistakes have been detrimental to myself. Some of my mistakes have hurt other people. Some of my mistakes have put me in terrible situations and circumstances. So I'm saying all of this to say you are not alone in whatever you have done, whatever has been said, whatever that big thing is that you think is just so big and you don't want anyone else to know and you hate yourself for it. You have to show yourself compassion Stephanie, how do I do that? I don't deserve compassion, or I can't forgive myself. I think it's so funny sometimes, and I do this often as well. It's so easy for me to forgive other people. I mean, people have done some things to us, right? They've hurt our feelings. They've said things that were not kind. Some circumstances have been so hurtful. And for some reason, it's so easy for us to forgive people quickly. Sometimes, has this happened to you? Sometimes the person that hurt you is literally coming to apologize and you're like, there's no need. I've already forgiven you. We don't even allow them to say what they are apologizing for because forgiveness for others comes so easily for us. So we forgive them freely. We freely forgive them and we love them just the same, especially if it's our friends or our family or our spouses and children. There is not enough forgiveness in the world that we can't give to them because we're always going to forgive. But why don't we apply that same principle to ourselves? Why is it that you can't forgive yourself for making that mistake? Why is it that you can't forgive yourself for saying those words? Why is it that you can't forgive yourself for making choices that maybe you didn't have all the information about? Do you ever stop to just give yourself the benefit of the doubt? Like, maybe I would have made a better choice had I had all the facts. Or maybe I wouldn't have said what I said had I not been reacting to something else. Sometimes just giving yourself the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes just saying to yourself, if I knew better, I would have did better. Showing yourself compassion, loving on yourself. This isn't the time for you to beat yourself up and punish yourself. This isn't the time for you to hate yourself. Because you know what? When we walk outside, the world is going to do that to us regardless, relentlessly. So why not show yourself compassion? If you've acknowledged your mistake, right? You're owning it, you're walking in it, then love on yourself enough to show yourself compassion and grace. Give yourself grace. Forgive yourself. And I know it's hard, especially if you've hurt somebody else. It's so hard because you know that your actions hurt someone else. But forgive yourself. Love on yourself. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? Mistakes are lessons that we can all learn. Everybody in this world has made at least one mistake in their life. There is not one single person on the face of this earth that has never made a mistake. So if every single person in this world has made a mistake, then give yourself compassion that you're human just like everybody else. I want you to be able to take your mistakes and turn those mistakes into power. I'm reminded of a time where I made a really big mistake. Oh my God. I beat myself up for years. It was only until I went through therapy and really loving myself to acknowledge that mistake, those choices that I made, I was forced to make choices at a young age. Those mistakes that I made, I didn't have all the information and I made them filled with fear. Now, years later, I'm able to look back on those mistakes and now I take those mistakes and I turn those mistakes into power. I learned from those mistakes. And even in those moments where I made those mistakes, I can look back and say to myself, you did what you thought you needed to do, or you did what you thought was best in that moment. I forgive myself for those mistakes so that I can move forward in my life and live the life I am truly meant to live, that is not filled with shame, not filled with sadness, not filled with regret, but filled with liberation. And you can do the same thing too. We hide in shame. We're embarrassed. We're humiliated. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to let your mistakes become the narrative of your life. You are not your mistakes. Those mistakes are in the past, and you are now creating the future, the life that you want to live. But you first have to forgive yourself. And once that forgiveness happens, then you're able to take those mistakes and turn those mistakes into power. And then when somebody else comes across your path that you see about to make the same mistake that you've made, oh, you can jump right in and you can take your mistake and turn it into power that can actually prevent someone else from making the same mistake that you made. And even if you don't prevent them from making the same mistakes, you can at least give them the information that they need to make a sound decision because you've learned from your mistakes. I know that there is a lot in this world that sometimes isn't kind and isn't loving. And I know that it's hard for you to be able to look yourself in the mirror, especially when that past is haunting you, to say, I deserve to live again. I deserve to smile again. I deserve to get out of this place of darkness again. But you really do. If you're listening to this episode today, maybe something led you to this particular topic and this particular episode, because maybe, just maybe today, you needed to hear these words. Maybe you needed to hear that your mistakes don't define you. Maybe you need to hear that your mistakes can be turned into power. Maybe you needed to hear that no matter what you've gone through, no matter what you've done, that you can create the life that you truly want to live. I am living proof of that, and I want to encourage you to do the same. Remember to love on yourself today, to turn those mistakes into power, to forgive yourself, to acknowledge that you made a mistake, but most of all, to get up out of that place of shame, embarrassment, humiliation, darkness, and to live again, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to create the life that you truly want to live. And I hope today you're able to take these few little nuggets and move past your mistakes. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me on today. I hope that you were able to get something out of this episode. Remember to like, comment, and share this post with someone who may need to hear this episode. Please remember to live boldly and to be beautifully you. I'll talk to you soon. See you on the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Please remember to subscribe to this podcast and visit me on my website at stephanierenee.com for a free 15-minute discovery call. I can't wait for you to join me on next week's episode. See you soon, and remember to be beautifully and boldfully you. Bye.